Well, we've moved outside and onto these stone pillars here, granite. It's thin sawn, same stuff as the fireplace inside. Got 2.5 of them done here. That one's got the electrical box in it. No big deal there. That's going to get the faceplate. So don't know how the resolution is on this, or the color, the lighting, I should say. But that's basically these are taking 2.5 days a piece to do. This thing's not lighting up here. Don't know why. There you go. There we go. They're taking a couple days a piece here because a couple things going on. Number one, it's short distance. It's only 20 inches, give or take, on per side. So it's a lot of corners, it's short distance. Anytime you have a real short distance like that, it takes a lot of fiddle-fuddling around, screwing around to get them to fit. Whereas if you have just a big open wall surface or something, you can kind of slam them in and don't have to screw around so much. You can you get the rock love a lot more on a big open surface, the flat wall, where you can just pick up a rock, and if it fits, it fits, and if not, you set it down and grab another one, and that one fits. And that's not the case when you have such a short distance on these. So so here's the other one that we have done. So they're 9 feet tall and 20 by 20. So it's a lot of corners. It's it's 36 feet of corners on each one. This one we're a couple days into. Hopefully I'm getting about 3 feet a day here, and hopefully I'll get close to finishing this today. And then I got that one. Then they're gonna put the patio in here. Everybody's still, they're still trying to move in here in a couple weeks. So I got a barbecue pit to build here, and then we'll go and just run the bases up on the rest of these columns so that they can get their pavers in, and we'll move around to the front of the house where we're getting about 200-300 square feet of stone on that, and we'll go veneer that and then come back after everything's in. And it's kind of not the way you want to do it, but it's all you can do for now, and keep things moving. So I'll set this up just to show you a few little tricks on putting these corners in. I found that it's easier to put your corners on first and then come back and fill in, rather than trying fill and do a corner at the same time as you go. It's just easier to slam the corners in and then come back. And sometimes you get some little pieces, sometimes you get some bigger ones. I've been saving all the little ones. I got a couple buckets full of little pieces over there, some here, where anything that you cut and just snap off the extra piece, just save it, because inevitably you'll use it. And then I kind of, at the end of the night or whatever, when I'm out of mud, or I kind of get a few ready to go here. Like this is just sitting there. These are just sitting there. You get them kind of made up so that you can get them on, get a little jump start in the morning. So anyways, I'm gonna set this up and just show you kind of how I do these corners for a couple minutes here. The boys are down there working on getting the septic in, like that. And so a lot of stuff going on here today, just like every day, I guess. So let's see if we can get something set up here where you're not just looking at the back side of me. Should be able to. That might do it. If not, I apologize in advance here. One thing with the mud, and I think I've said this before, but I can't remember, so I'll say it again. I mix it up kind of dry, a little on the drier side. Let's see, it's kind of, it's a little crumbly. It's not, I mean, it's not total dry. Not like granola or something, who knows, but it's not soup either. So I mix it up dry to start with, keep it separated there. I'll use that drier stuff for my my bedding joint, like the bed joint, and then I have some looser stuff in the front of the pan that I keep pretty loose here. Put some water in it, like that. Keep this soupy. You parge with it, and back butter the stones with it, and you'll see exactly how the process goes here. But you don't want to use this soupy shit for your bed joint, because otherwise it just squishes out and there's no support for the rock. I mean, these rocks are, you know, they're pretty heavy. I forget what they actually weigh per square foot, but you know, you take a rock like that, and I bet you that's 10-15 pounds. So they squish the mortar right out if you don't have it a little firmer for the bed joints. And this here could even use a little more water in it. So that's the deal with that. You get your set back up here and do a couple minutes, put a couple stones on, and you can see what's going on. You want to work that in nice and good there. What are we barking about? Huh? What are you barking at? You can see Butter's getting to work with me today. So now I take some firmer stuff for your bed joint. So try and keep it back off the face, maybe a quarter, half inch. Some of it will squeeze out, and that's totally fine. That's what you want. I didn't do a video yet on parging these up. Basically, Tyvek them, tar paper them, metal lath, and then good scratch coat on there, and rough it up with I have a real stiff broom. They make a scratcher that you can buy to rough this surface up. I've always just used I got an old cut off floor broom, plastic thick bristled brush, and just brush it when it's wet, and it roughs it up so that the new mortar sticks right to it. So. You take your rock like so. And the other thing that's kind of been slowing things down here is on these pillars. There's always something, right? Is the piece of bluestone on the top there. I'll show you in a second. The piece of bluestone on the top is only out 1 3/4 inches. I like to have these stones with the stone and mud and everything, lay the stone about 2. Just gives you a little extra room. But the piece of bluestone cap that the carpenters put in when they built these columns is only out 1 3/4 inches, so it kind of, we're doing everything we can just to even be flush with that. It should be, the bluestone should hang out. It should be about 1 inch bigger than they are where you get an actual drip edge. And I told them that they should probably put some kind of metal or something up there to get the water away from these columns. I'll show you in a second. But, so anyways, I back butter them like that, put it on, get some good suction. And before you let it down onto the mud joint, you got to kind of wiggle it around and line, just by eye, kind of line up where it's got to go. So like I said, I've been running these 1 3/4 inches, like that. So that'll sit there because it's nice firm mortar underneath. I take my tape and go right off in the kind of the midfield here, and you got to kind of eye where you want to be to the corner. These rocks kind of vary quite a bit, so excuse me. So you want to kind of, the rocks are all over the place. They're not exactly square and they're not exactly whatever. So I've been trying to use the best ones on these, and the worst rocks we'll use on the back side of those 3 columns up against the retaining wall and everything like that, and they'll kind of be out of sight, out of mind over there. I eye this corner. This has got to come up a little bit. I always try and keep a couple shims handy just to have. I just lost that one, but find another one. This has got to come up a little bit in the front. About 99% humidity out here right now. Disgusting. It saps all the energy right out of you. So the corner's nice and plumb. Come this way just a touch, and it's just kind of, you gotta kind of do this stuff by eye, because you know, this rock is way out over here. The rock is in the cave, so it's pushed out way over here. The corner's kind of back, and this is a nice one. This is one of the nice ones. So this is what you get. So you gotta kind of line this corner up with the plane of these corners here. Sometimes they're in, sometimes they're out. I mean, it's natural, it's not tile, it's not perfectly sawn, so I mean, you do get a little variation, but overall you want to kind of keep that a true kind of plumb line. Some guys run a string, they'll run a string off here and down. For me, it's just nothing but in the way. And I just do it by eye and the tape measure out in here. You know, you want to be, and you got to look at the rock. See, this is like 1 5/8 there, and I want 3/4, but that's all right. It's in a little bit there, it's in a little there, but it's out here. But the corner itself is pretty true. The same thing when you go to this side. So that's basically like saw. You know, you have your mud behind there, and you take a little juicy stuff and do your seams. Do back where it meets. Make sure that's all good. You don't really have. I've been talking, and so it's taking me a little longer than it should to put this rock in. But you don't have a super lot of time to mess around with them, because this surface is pretty dry and it sucks the moisture right out of the rock, or right out of the mortar quick. You know, some people damp this down. I don't, because then it slides and skates and whatever on you. I make sure I parge this with you know, with fresh mud, and then butter the back of the rock, and you get a good bond that way. just leave that. Any mud that squishes out, just leave it alone for now. Sometimes take a joiner and just kind of pack it a little bit. But if you do any more than that, you're just going to have a mess right now. So just leave it alone. Let it set. That way it doesn't force. That way you're not forcing the mortar into the rock, and then you have to sponge and clean. And just, it's neater if you just leave it like this, let it dry out a little bit, and then scrape it back. You know, if you missed a spot, you know, by all means add a little bit. Nice dry, you know, the same stuff that you'd use for your bed, the drier stuff. Take it like that. Take a little bit like that and add it, you know, if you have to. And then just leave it. Leave it like that. Let it dry out. Make sure you get your corners good with your parge here. Like so. Little bed joint. The other thing, there's a bunch of things working against us here, but why this is taking so long per column. But the other thing is that we try and keep our joints fairly nice and small. You know, this is right out on the roadside. This is all going to be patio and a fire pit and everything over there. People are going to be hanging out, barbecue over there. So we kind of try and keep her, you know, that's the width of my finger, so it's about 1/2 inch, 5/8 or something. Sometimes they're a little more, a little less, but you keep a nice tight joint like that, and it definitely takes it takes a lot longer, you know. So this one's high. I got this rock up in the air a little bit, and 2 there. I'd say that they vary from, you know, you're gonna have variation from like 1.5 to 2, or 1.25 to 2, but overall you try and go with 1 3/4 for this application here. And like I said, usually, you know, on the fireplace, all the other stuff, you know, when you're not cramped to try and see, this is the problem we got going here. These bluestone caps, 1 3/4. 1 3/4, under 2, and that's, you know, here it's 1 5/8, so the bluestone cap isn't hanging out far enough. So that means you try and keep this, you know, rock tighter, which is a hard thing to do. These thin sawn rocks, natural thin sawn rocks, they like to be about you know, 2 inches, because the rock itself is usually about 1 1/4, sometimes 1.5 inches, you know. And then you need some mud and the variation in the rock. See, that's already 1 inch that right there is already 1 1/4, 1 3/8, depending where you go, 1.5 inches almost. So I mean, if you're only putting 1/4 inch of mud behind it, boy, you're fighting it. So so that's one of the things going on here. I gotta get this, so it's a little high, so I get it kind of, you know, that's kind of where it wants to be. This corner, you can see it's pretty consistent going up, down. Same thing with this one. You got it in there. So then what I do is kind of just tap, and this, I don't know if I can do this one-handed here, but probably not. Probably can't hold the camera and everything at once, but you need an extra arm here. I need to be a goddamn octopus. So I bring it down, a little tap, 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 And already, like I said, this is taking a little longer than I should have, just because I'm talking and screwing around. Kind of, but that's about where it wants to be. Fix all. Get this stuff out of there. So there you have it. That's it, and then we'll just kind of fill in. I'm gonna shut this thing off, and we'll do another one at some point here. I'll do one. I want to do a video of putting the mesh on and screening the scratch coat. You know, in the prep for stoning these. We'll do one of those coming up. So we'll see ya.